which bring our balance for the Hamburg Industrial Development Agency to $1,026,513.34. Motion to approve.
So, second.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next item is the 2021 annual audit.
I think most of you have read the audit. We had an audit committee meeting. We went over the audit on the audit committee meeting. And truthfully, I think the organization is running very well financially and stuff like this. There was no red flags drawn up. Excuse me a minute. I don't know if there's any questions on the audit, but Davis is there and Sean and Bob, we all went over the audit. So on that note, I just make a motion to approve. Unless there's any questions.
Second.
Thank you, Janet. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And thank you, Mary, for putting all that audit paperwork together. It was a little bit more thorough this year with some payroll requests. So Mary answered that for the auditor.
Mary's awesome. Look at that. She went to that.
Okay, my update next. Talk to closings for a minute here. E1 is due to close by the end of day tomorrow. That is for the sales tax only project. And we are still working through the insurance question with E1. There's no action today, but just wanted to provide an update. We're working towards.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
What does what mean?
They're ready to close. What is this?
Well, we don't know if they're ready to close. They're required to close with, by the approval in the last meeting, they're required to close April 21st. So they need to close by tomorrow. Jennifer had sent the documents on March 26th, but this is for the sales tax. So we got two projects.
Okay.
This is the project for the expansion. So we are prepared to close. Jennifer had sent the documents on March 26th, the revised documents for the sales tax only. We have followed up with the applicants, I would say at least 6 times between Jennifer and I. We have, I've gotten communication as recently as yesterday, and I've communicated that we need to get this closed before Thursday this week. And they said that is our goal. Thanks. And I said their attorney, John, should email Jennifer ASAP to get this scheduled up tomorrow or Wednesday. So that's the update that I have.
So this agreement is specifically with E1, not Billy Lee LLC.
No, this is with Billy Lee LLC sales tax only.
Oh,
So we have a meeting and, I really want to go, so I don't have another meeting.
if it doesn't close,
If it doesn't close,
it's
then
done.
we start our proceedings. Is that what you're looking at, Jennifer? Can you hear me?
For
Can you hear
recapture.
Bob? He had a question.
Yes, shouldn't there be a resolution on the agenda this morning for their third application for the sales tax only?
No, I don't have a resolution. I'm not prepared with that.
Okay, didn't I send that over to you a couple weeks ago?
I may have missed it, Jennifer. I'm just looking at the minutes from March. We had changed the date.
Right. We gave them an extension for a short period of time.
Well,
I just
if
want to make
it's
sure.
not
we're-
here, perhaps Jennifer can quick email it and you can
Yeah.
pull
So
it up
we
on
had-
your phone or.
Oh, yeah, and I can pull it up on the PC. I can look it up quick. So we had, just a recap,
Is that the old? list?
the resolution adopted, extended. So this is a resolution where we extended the inducement period and the sales tax period from April until April 21st with an extension fee. So do we need a resolution? Jennifer's looking right now.
On the question there, Sean, the application must submit revised application to Hamburg IDA by March 24th, 2022. Was that completed?
Yes, we did get a revised application. Just trying to see if I can open it. This is all.
I'd rather have this done under executive report, just so we know what's going on.
And we do have Billy Lee under unfinished business, so there, we can revisit this when we get to
Right. But I just kind of want to know.
the resolution. So Jennifer, just to lay off you, I'll continue with the report. If you can send that to me.
I'm just remoting into my office. When I left my office, I didn't realize I'd be in quarantine and I didn't bring the file home.
Oh, got you.
Oh, sorry, you're quarantined.
Worst case, I can probably get it off my phone. I just can't minimize my.
No, I'll get it to you, Sean.
Okay, so back to this. Johnson's Brew House, Kate is still, we have no update on that in terms of closing. KH and Staub are working through financing, and 290 Lake is on the agenda today. Insurance, just an update on this. It's been a struggle. The one had the exclusion. So the first quote that we had the exclusion on anybody providing tax exemptions. So it kind of neutered, the power of the insurance. So if the board, the director and officer insurance, if there would be a suit regarding an abatement, which is, 99% of what the actions that you take, there would be exclusions against it. So we wouldn't be supported in terms of protecting the board. The Amherst had a policy with Philadelphia, Amherst IDA, and we reached out to Philadelphia and they said they had changed that. So Amherst was grandfathered in and they were covered, but they won't cover other IDAs. I submitted, it looks like Travelers still provides it without that exclusion for industrial development agencies. So I sent off an application yesterday for Travelers. So we'll see, we're still working through it. But nobody wants to protect the IDAs. It's frustrating. And I don't know the quote, so I can't tell you what the cost is going to be to that.
I asked a fellow to reach out to you, Hank Chapman
Okay.
from Haler Fryer.
What does the ECIDA do?
Probably self.
I don't know. I can look into
They might be
that to see what they
self-insured.
have.
Aren't we still, as a town agency, aren't we still?
Yes.
We're still
We-
covered in the town.
The coverage kicks in after $100,000. So the agency would have $100,000 of exposure.
All right.
Yeah, somebody that underwrites that.
So we just need $100,000 with the coverage, basically.
We can ask for that, whether they'll provide it is,
Yes.
so they may want the million or 2 million. So we're looking for the underwriter, but first of all, just finding an agency that will offer it is the work. There was, in terms of project activity, the other projects are emerging. We did have a good meeting with Matt Connors with Sinatra regarding the South Park and Souls development, just staying involved with that and, explaining to them the IGA application process and timelines. So we provided that information to the developer. We have HDC meeting tomorrow, Hamburg Development Corporation Board meeting. We're working through that CARES program with the small business support grants. Right now, we have 3 applications that are likely to be accepted into the program. So that they'll be eligible for reimbursements for these expenses. So they're not getting checks. They'll get reimbursements after they make investments. But we have 3 businesses with expenses totaling $132,000 that will go into the program. So we'll probably be holding HDC meetings in the next 3 or 4 months consecutively until we spend up to that $400,000 threshold. And the activity looks good. we have 3 out of the gate. And then there's 8 applications that we're kind of working through and seeing if the projects are eligible or not. The other item that I wanted to speak to is there is a public hearing under advocacy and legislation on the Climate Plan Act. So the Climate Plan Act is proposing that there would be no gas service provided to new developments, whether it be commercial or residential, after 2024. And then to further that, the next item that would kick in is in 2030, where any gas devices that use natural gas, be it water heating, or if a company uses natural gas in their process for, heating, so heating in their process, or heating hot water, you would have to switch to electric. There will be no devices that will support that, be it residentially or commercially. And that would begin in 2030. So there is one person on the board that represents the utilities, and that is the director of National Grid. The other members are more from the environmental protection side. And this is what I was talking to in terms of, making it more difficult for businesses to operate in New York State, and frankly, more for residents to live in New York State. You're going to have to retrofit your homes for electric heating, for electric hot water, because if this would pass, you won't be able to buy a gas tank type hot water heater or an on-demand hot water heater.
What happens with your natural gas generator for when the grid goes out?
So that is not, if you have one and you maintain it, but if this passes beyond 2030, you would have to have some other type of battery backup.
Is this in the House and the Senate?
So this is a separate board approved through the state that is putting forth this policy.
So National Fuel doesn't have a seat on the,
No, National Grid does, but National Fuel does not.
National Grid who's getting into.
Well, the
gas
utility
business right now.
companies are
Who's in the business?
are working to communicate. I think, like, it looks like with the faces here, this has been under publicized, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
So, there has been communication through there is information out there on the partnership website. They have met, National Fuel has met with the Southtowns Regional Chamber of Commerce. They have met with the Amherst Chamber of Commerce. And basically they're just encouraging people to either submit written comments or attend the session on the 27th. That's at the library, at the main library branch, to speak up on the matter.
What time? Do you know?
I believe it was around 3:00 in the afternoon.
I don't know if people remember, I built a house back in 1977, and we had a moratorium on gas. We had an all-electric house. And it was tough. It was all electric hot water, electric furnace, everything, because we had a moratorium on gas back in 1977. They wouldn't put any new gas in the house, and then I built a house in Hamburg on all electric, and I couldn't wait to get back. Eventually lifted it up, and back in the 80s, I converted back to gas, but you had to bring everything in to do it. That's the expense. So
I would have to say, just in my personal experience, that on the Village of Blaisdell, I'd say the vast majority, I don't want to put a percentage on, but I'd say the vast majority is power heated. Not powered, but like your heating gas, your hot water, it's all natural gas. I mean, the expense to the regular person, middle class, is going to be astronomical, even if they have incentives, which will cost the middle class even more because they'll be taxed more, because that's where the money's coming from to do these incentives. So this is just absolutely ridiculous. And then for businesses, imagine heating a warehouse with electric. It's just stupid. I'm sorry, it's stupid.
Well, they only have a 120-day comment period according to their website.
I will be
You,
commenting.
you should comment.
So, yeah, there is, I'm sorry, I just had it up.
It goes through June 10th.
And I can send follow-up
2022.
information
Please
to the board, and what I can do to further that is, we can have a resolution under new business, and I can submit a letter, circulate a letter around in advance of the public hearing. It's at 3:30 on the 27th, and we can submit written comments.
3:30.
Yeah, just to the effect that, my concern is like what Andy had said is, not businesses plan, you're talking 2024. So,
2 years away.
businesses plan their capital stack years in advance, right? So they're, and my more concern is, the industrial heating side, yes, but also on the process side. How much natural gas is used in processes for these businesses. And quite frankly, in from National Grid's perspective, this impacts them rather negatively because the grid can't support, this increased demand. So, there's two sources of energy here. Now, all of a sudden, you're putting 100% reliability on one source. There's just not capacity in the grid to provide the demand. So even if this would go forward, there's, not to mention the costs, it's not feasible.
Right. When you
beyond that.
decommission the plants that balanced out the electrical grid with Dunkirk, Somerset, Huntley Station. So you don't have something to really put that power back into the grid with at this point. You don't have the line capacity to handle something like this. And to Bob Reynolds' point, back in the 80s and so forth, once that moratorium was lifted, nobody wanted to buy a house with electric heat.
Absolutely.
That was a negative.
I heat with wood. It's expensive. I mean, I'm sure the technology is better.
But still not
Right.
cost effective.
Sean, is this a federal or a state?
State, this is New York State.
Again, this is a huge disconnect between Albany and real life. Again.
Right.
I mean, this is just a bunch of people with suits sitting in Albany making decisions that have no idea what real life is.
Wow.
Well, my guess, if you were to look at the makeup of that board.
that strong enough?
Heavily New York City.
Likely, yeah. I haven't paid attention to it. So, but, I would be happy, like I said, we'll catch it in new business, but, the board authorizes the director to, submit a draft to the board for review, and then I could present that, or at least submit it on the 27th on behalf of the Hamburg idea, because it would be very, very detrimental to new business growth. And also, for the workforce, it's a huge detriment. They're talking from their own estimates. I think they said $20,000. You would need probably a new, or a sub panel installed in your home. At least that, something to handle the increased load. And then you would have to run, probably 240 lines to, various places in your house to support the equipment. Because you probably don't have, where your furnace is, you probably don't have the level of electricity there needed to.
20.
Hey, Jan, how many houses are in Blaisdell? Do you know offhand?
Actual physical buildings, it is like, I want to say 12, 21.
So let's go 1,200 buildings in Blaisdell. This is a 1 mile square of heaven times 20,000. That's 24 million in the village of Blaisdell just to convert to this.
When you've got about around 20,000 homes, let's say, in the town of Hamburg total.
I better build a bigger battery.
I know, good Lord. There are a lot more windmills.
Get a lot more.
Now, there's a lot
New
of
York State, a solar
To
panel.
push this no farther, I think not only this draft, so after that we approve it, should go to this committee. It should go to all our state representatives, and it should go to the governor's office as well.
Yeah.
And maybe to some of our federal reps too.
You're better off looking at converting the hydrogen.
Well, it's a process,
Okay.
but they're just,
Hydrogen, at least you could get through everything.
Okay,
Sorry.
I'll work on that. That's
I'll be
okay.
quiet.
No, I mean, it's important to communicate, because like I said, it's,
You gotta take a look at this.
when we brought this up in
Yeah, I know.
the March meeting with the chamber.
I
This
know.
is all just kind of bubbled up. very quietly. Okay, another item I wanted to talk to, which is a nice partnership with our, we pay a membership fee to Invest Buffalo Niagara. They run a great program. It's supported largely through grants called Economic Gardening, and it's manufacturing business support. So they use these grant dollars to engage consultants, generally consultants from schools like MIT, so very sophisticated engineering consultant that will work with existing businesses that have, they're kind of experiencing some growth pains. And there's a company in Hamburg called Eaton Brothers, and they do landscaping supplies. I think, are they in the village?
Oh, they're on the outskirts.
Okay, they're just right on the border there. So they've recently been acquired by two local gentlemen in probably the last 5 years. And the business has essentially had some new blood and new vision. And so they're working with Invest Buffalo Niagara and this economic gardening program. I've linked them up with them. And, they have some ideas for expansion and they're trying to work through it. So that's exciting. And it's a good, I know when we send that money off every year, the last few years, we've asked, for kind of what the results are of that. So I thought that was a fine example of our investment partnership with Invest Buffalo. The next items, just looking ahead, it's nice to have the sun shining today. The farmers market kicks off May 7th, and the next board meeting is May 18th, 7:30 a.m., same time, same place.
I will need to be excused from that
Okay.
up front. I'm out of time.
All right, thank you for that heads up. On to new business. We have a couple remaining policies to get under wraps here. So resolved that the Hamburg Industrial Development Agency Board approve and readopt the following policies. Real property acquisition policy, access to agency records, combined fee schedule, data gathering procedure, employee compensation program, and recapture policy. So moved.
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Davis.
Second.
Thank you, Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next item on the agenda is an employment agreement modification for Mary Doran. Resolved that the Hamburg Industrial Development Agency Board approve the amendment to the employment agreement as of May 1st, 2022.
So moved.
Thank you, Bob.
Second.
Thank you, Bob. Any questions? Okay, I'll just provide a comment. This is an increase to shift marketing activities in-house and provide more social media support on social media platforms, and then also to manage increased project activity too for Mary. So everyone in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thanks for your work, Mary.
We
All right,
expect our pictures out more.
that's it. Watch what you say. There's a camera everywhere. All right, next is 290 Lake Street Holdings. Thanks for your patience here, Patrick. I'll go through the resolution and then so moved, we'll open up to questions. This is a resolution of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency increasing the authorization of 290 Lake Street Holdings LLC to construct an approximately 19,260 square foot mixed-use infill development on a former vehicle repair facility consisting of 12,840 square feet of 10 market rate apartments and 6,420 square feet of speculative professional office and or retail space located at 290 Lake Street in the village of Hamburg as agent for the agency for lease back by the lessee to the agency to acquire and install machinery, equipment, and furnishings and fixtures required in connection herewith and to take other preliminary action. Whereas, due to increased project costs, 290 Lake Street Holdings, the lessee, has entered into renewed negotiations with officials of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency, the agency, with respect to the acquisition and equipping by the agency through a lease-leaseback transaction with mortgage for the construction of the approximately 19,260 square feet mixed-use infill development. Now therefore, the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency hereby resolves as follows. The lessee is authorized to initiate the construction of approximately 19,260 square foot building and authorize the lessee to proceed with the acquisition and installation of machinery, equipment, fixtures, and furnishings required in connection therewith at a combined cost not to exceed $4,520,892, subject to the obtaining of all required approvals from the Village of Hamburg and other involved governmental agencies, and to advance such funds as may be necessary to accomplish such purchases. The lessee is authorized to make purchases of goods and services relating to the project that would otherwise be subject to New York State and local sales and use tax in a combined amount up to $1,560,270, resulting in New York State and local sales and use tax exemption benefits in the amount not to exceed $136,523.63. The agency hereby authorizes and improves real property tax abatement benefits structured through a 7-year pilot agreement estimated to provide $267,517 in real property tax abatement benefits, resulting in estimated total payments in lieu of taxes of $69,430 over the term of the pilot agreement. The agency hereby authorizes and improves the value of mortgage to be placed upon the facility shall not exceed $3.1 million, and that the mortgage tax exemption benefit shall not exceed $23,250. This resolution shall take effect immediately. So moved.
Oh, go about. No, I'll second.
So Andy, second. Reynolds, first motion. Does anyone have any questions regarding the project?
Not questions, but just one comment that we did have a public hearing on this on Monday, and there was no comments from the public at the public hearing, other than the mayor stressing the building permit, which was very important. But they have to have this done up and started before September 30th.
Yes, they have to pull, according to Mayor Tallman, they need the planning approval runs through September 30th. So they would need to pull a permit on the project before that date,
Right.
or it would unwind the complete planning process.
Right.
And just to clarify, it was in the project profile. The amount of increased owner investment on the project is $1,360,445. So that's the amount of additional cost to complete the same project, just due to the change in the state of affairs of the economy from when they applied to date, and they're looking to soon get a shovel in the ground. The amount of increase of incentives on the project was total between mortgage, sales tax, and then the pilot benefit as a result of increased property tax rates. So the necessary project does not have assessed value increases. It's just that the taxable rate has gone up just a little bit. So their additional amount of investment is roughly, or the amount of savings is roughly $98,000 as compared to their increase in owner investment, which is, just over $1.3 million. So just so you have a perspective of the increase in benefits commensurate with the increase in project cost.
Was there any additional comments in the public after the meeting?
No, we received no additional comments before the closing of the public hearing today. So that comment period closed on the 19th. We received no written comments.
It should be a good project. It's going to be in the Gateway area. That property's been vacant since 2014 when we get the snowstorm.
Good stuff.
Okay, any additional questions or comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried. Congratulations, Patrick. We'll stay in touch.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
You too, guys. Thank you.
Okay, under unfinished business, just a reminder for the sexual harassment training confirmation. Please get those confirmations off to Mary if you have not yet done that. And next I'll get the Billy Lee resolution called up here on my phone, so bear with me. See, I get to these things and it's like, I gotta get to Rite Aid and pick up a pair of reading books. All righty. Okay. This is a resolution of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency authorizing and approving the execution and delivery of a project and agent agreement and installment sale agreement with Billy Lee LLC and to take other action and amending the assistance previously approved by the agency. Whereas in February 2022, Billy Lee, the lessee, entered into negotiations with the Town of Hamburg IDA, the agency, with respect to the acquisition and installation of machinery, equipment, furniture and fixtures as part of the construction of approximately 10,000 square foot addition to existing building located at 4760 Camp Road in Hamburg, New York, by lessee as agent for the agency. Whereas due to inability to meet the closing requirements, the lessee has submitted a third application and other materials for information to the agency to accomplish the revised project, withdrawing the lessee's request for mortgage tax abatement and payment in lieu of tax agreement. And whereas the first application dated December 6, 2019, requesting mortgage tax abatement, sales and use tax exemption, and payment in lieu of tax agreement. And the second application dated as of July 16, 2021, requesting sales and use tax exemption and payment in lieu of tax agreement are withdrawn by the lessee. And whereas the assistance contemplated by the agency will include sales tax exemption on any materials and or equipment purchased for incorporation into the revised project. The agency desires to further encourage the lessee with respect to the expansion of the revised project. If by doing so is able to induce the lessee to proceed with the revised project in the Town of Hamburg. Now therefore be resolved by the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency here as follows. The agency hereby determines that the acquisition and installation of the revised project and assistance thereof by the agency pursuant to New York State Industrial Development Agency Act will promote and is authorized by and will be in furtherance of the policy of the state set forth in said act. To accomplish the purposes of the act, the agency hereby authorizes the company to proceed with the revised project as herein described with the maximum authorized amount of $677,560 to be expended without further action of the agency. The agency is authorized, subject to the provisions of this resolution, to acquire title of the revised project and enter into a closing agreement, project and agent, and installment sale agreement with the company, and to execute and deliver such other documents and instruments as may be necessary in order to consummate the transaction contemplated by this resolution. The lessee is authorized to make purchases of goods and services that would otherwise be subject to New York State and local sales and use tax in the amount of $677,560, which may result in state and local sales and use tax exemption benefits not to exceed $59,286. The provisions of this resolution shall continue to be effective until April 21st, 2022. This resolution shall take effect immediately. So moved.
So
Second.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Bob Hutchison. Just before question, just to make a clarification. So this is a third application. They're withdrawing the pilot. So the pilot tax benefits that were initially granted through the IDA are being withdrawn. In addition, the mortgage tax abatement, because they did not engage the agency before they closed on the mortgage, they have foregone those benefits as well. So this would be for this 10,000 square foot expansion, the sales and use tax exemption on the project. Last item, they're required to close by the end of April 20.
Tomorrow. tomorrow, and they're not ready to close tomorrow.
So. Are we open to questions?
Yeah, I was just providing some
Janet, you wanna go
clarification.
first?
No, listen, the day is the day is the day.
Amen.
That's what the resolution says. If
Right.
they aren't ready tomorrow, then
So my question is, what happens if we vote this down?
If you don't act on the third application,
Yeah,
well, then the second application still stands. And I think that expired, I can't remember the expiry date in that. So you'd have to, the next step would be to take steps to recapture.
so would it be a faster process going after that recapture than waiting for this one to go for another day and then start that whole process all over recapturing?
Well, the recapture, under the recapture policy, we have to send them a letter.
Right. But
So
we can
that letter
send it
wouldn't
off
go out
first,
until-
not off of this one.
Wouldn't go out until tomorrow anyway.
Yeah, no, but we send it off the first one, wouldn't we? And not this one?
We do both.
Okay.
We
I
have
just
two
wanna make
projects.
sure that we're not getting more stall tactics.
Right. The current project they're in default of because they don't have proper insurance. So we've sent the default notice. Once that time frame is up, next step on that one would be to start recapture. If you don't vote on this today, on this new project today, then we'll start recapture under the second application.
Sean, just,
Yes.
I'm looking at the minutes here. And it says that resolution for the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency extending the inducement period and sales tax period for Ability Lead LLC project until April 21st, 2022. We've already approved this. Or amended.
Andy, that was the second application. They submitted a third application, which is the resolution before the board now.
Oh,
But the date doesn't change, so
No.
I don't like to, your point, I don't
I would
think it
just,
will
I mean,
delay things.
the date doesn't change. That was my major contention, so they have until tomorrow. That's the date, the date's the date.
That's
Right.
And I
And
guess
that's
the point
what
of
you're
doing
getting
this
at.
is to, you know,
Okay.
to be good faith on our side to.
We've kind
you know,
of,
accept
we've,
their
I think
change.
let them know that we were gonna go the 21st of April.
Okay,
If they don't do something by tomorrow, well then.
okay.
it's-
Well, then it's on them.
Yeah.
We're done.
That's it. It's finished.
I just had to ask the question.
So I would recommend then, since both expiry dates are tomorrow, that the board vote on the resolution before them, just as a matter of cleanup. So now the only benefits you're authorizing are, should the board be so inclined, are just the sales tax. Clearly, then the mortgage tax and the pilot are out.
Okay,
Right.
and then that defaults tomorrow if they don't, if
Correct.
they,
Everything defaults tomorrow, except for the insurance default letter, which has a few more days yet.
okay.
Any further questions?
Good
All in
explanation.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Last would be a resolution authorizing the executive director to draft and circulate a letter in response to public comment for the Climate Protection Act to be submitted by April 27th, 2022.
So move.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Bob Hutchison. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Any call for executive session? Last, a motion to adjourn the April 20th, 2022 HIDA meeting at 8:15 a.m.
Second.
Thank you, Davis. Thank you, Janet. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thanks, everyone. Don't go anywhere.